Welcome to Season 2 of the Face to Face Ministries podcast. I am Melinda Wilson.
And I'm Kathy Little. Thank you so much for joining us as we introduce you to ministries and leaders from around the globe who have said yes to the Isaiah 61 mandate to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free, helping people to step into who they were always meant to be.
And for more information about us, please visit our website, face2faceministries.org. That's all one word, no spaces, no numbers, and no caps. And please follow us on our social media platforms, face2faceministries.org on Facebook and on Instagram, face2facemin.
Welcome to today's episode. We are so happy you're here.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 79.
Yeah, we had somebody ask us just last night what we were going to do special for our 100th episode. I'm like, that's still 20 weeks away.
It is, but you know what? If you have some ideas, let us know. Reach out.
Be something significant to commemorate it. I'm not sure.
What can we do for our 100th episode?
Hey, I want to know who has been your favorite guest of ours so far? I would love to know that. So you guys need to tell us either through social media or you can email us, contact us through the website. We want to know who has been your absolute favorite guest. And then maybe we'll have them come back. We could maybe do that.
Yes, that would be a great idea. I'd also like to know, because we're just going to be talking about the weather right now. I would like to know if there's anyone else out there that's experiencing 90s in October. I'm just taking a little poll, and I know those of you in Arizona are, but just reach out because I need some empathy. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's still a little warm here in California.
I'm like, okay, who needs to tell the weather that it's autumn? So just give me some compassion and empathy here. But we are really excited to introduce you to our next guest today. And she actually reached out to us, and I'd say we're honored. I was going to say we were tickled, but I don't know. That expression is like your grandmother would say it, but we're really honored when people reach out to us. And Lisa Dodge Pinkham I actually met her almost 2 years ago at an Emmanuel Approach training on the East Coast with Dr. Carl Lehman. And we haven't stayed really connected, but she reached out and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I'm so glad that she did, because you'll be delighted to meet her. And then she actually leads us in a very practical exercise at the end that I guarantee you will help you feel good.
Yeah, I really love when our guests do that, where, we can talk about this stuff. We talk a lot about these different tools and different things that people are doing to help people connect with Jesus. But when you actually have the opportunity to experience it and have somebody lead you through that, and it's amazing that we can do that in the podcast, and time and space doesn't matter because it's happening in real time for you where you are right now, whether it be in your car, your office, or whether you're listening while you're fixing dinner. I don't know. But just if you can take a moment, and when we get to that place toward the end of this episode, if you just take a pause and allow yourself to engage in this in this exercise, I think it would really benefit you. I know it did me.
And me.
Yeah. So we just want to give you an opportunity to really engage and connect with Jesus in a practical way right here during the podcast. So be listening for that.
Yeah. And before we get into that, because we are going to very shortly, just wanted to let you know, remind you, some of you are maybe listening for the first time or kind of skipping around episodes, which is totally fine, but wanted to make you aware of a really amazing resource that we are offering. And
it's called the Face to Face Heart Healing Network. And it is really a community that we're building as we go with people just like you who are interested in heart healing and connection with Jesus. Right now, we have nearly 400 people in our free membership group. And it is really we're growing. We're starting to do some smaller groups, subset groups for people to be able to connect and interact with each other. And we are also just about to launch a premium network. Now, this is what people have said they want. They want community. They want to be trained up in particular in the Emmanuel approach tools and be able to experience them and practice them. And so we are going to put that in the premium network. We're going to have an opportunity for you guys to learn and grow in practical ways with interaction, live Q&A, and have an opportunity to really dig in a little deeper in what these tools represent and in the brain science behind them and all that. So be watching for that. If you get into the free network, you're going to hear about it really quickly. And the premium membership is going to be launched the end of October.
And even if you've been trained in the Emmanuel approach, like I know several of you have been, this is not going to just be repeating the same thing. Mm-mm. We really are creating community. This is, again, like Kathy said, one of the main things that you guys wanted. And so if you've like, well, I've already been trained in that, I don't really want to invest more time or money in that. But let me just encourage you that this isn't just going to be rehashing the same stuff. We're really creating relationships. We're going to learn and grow together even more. Listen, we can go farther, faster together.
Oh yeah.
and so the exciting part of this is that we get to build it with you. So we're going to basically present what you guys are asking for.
Yeah.
And so keep feedback coming. Let us know. But we're so excited to be launching this premium network, and let us know what it would look like or what you need. Let us know what you want and need. And we've heard, thank you so much for those of you who have answered the survey. Continue to let us know, because we want to do this for you. We are here to serve you. And so thank you for those of you who have responded, and just let us know. And we'll keep you posted on when we're launching this. It's just going to be in a couple weeks, but watch for it. If you haven't yet signed up for the free Face-to-Face Heart Healing Network, you can do that.
Yeah, just go to our website. There's a link right there at the top of our website on how to get into that, and we would love to have you guys join us. So that's actually where you can also get access to digital trainings. We've got the Level 1 Emmanuel training on there available digitally, and we are getting ready to film a more advanced level intermediate training in the Emmanuel approach. And that's going to be at an in-person training we're doing in Oregon in a couple weeks. And we've got a basic level coming up. If you want information on in-person stuff that we're starting to do now, you can go to our website and click on the trainings tab, and you will have an opportunity to see where we're going to be. And if you want to bring us in to your location to do a training, we love to travel, and
yes,
and hopefully we're going to be able to do that more freely as things are shifting a little bit with our current situation, hopefully opening up a little bit more. But we definitely would love to bring the Emmanuel training to you wherever you are, whether a level 1 or level 1 into level 2. We can do that, and we would love to talk to you. So please contact us through our website. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's get on with introducing Lisa Dodge Pinkham. We talked about her a few minutes ago, and just, be expectant and make sure you listen to the end, because there's really something amazing that she leads us through.
So here's Lisa.
Well, today we're excited and honored to introduce our special guest, Lisa Dodge Pinkham. And she actually reached out to us, and, it's always an honor to have people reach out to us to say, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast, because we did so much of that, with most everyone else. So to have people reach out to us, it's like, oh my gosh, wow. So it's really an honor, Lisa, to have you with us. And there is a lot to tell about you, and I'm sitting here with a bio, and I'm so curious to just ask you many questions. But first of all, hi and welcome.
Hi, I am the one honored to be here. I just loved being with you, Melinda. So I kind of reached out because I just wanted to have a great conversation with you both.
Well, we're always excited to meet new people and to find out how God intersected our paths. It's always crazy that just to find out how people are connected, how they found out about us and all of that. And so it's pretty fun when God shows us, hey, I'm kind of doing something intentional here. So So thanks for being part of this. We really appreciate you contributing to the conversation about heart healing.
Yeah, and Lisa and I met in person, actually. It was funny. I was going through my photos on my phone yesterday, and we took a picture together, a selfie. It was last year. Oh, it's almost been 2 years, isn't it? In January 19 at the Emmanuel training with Dr. Carl Lehman.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, time flies. So but let's just dive off with that, Lisa, because, we both have that in common. All of us have that in common, the Emmanuel training with Dr. Carl. And I know that you're really just, I don't know if entrenched is the right word, although it could be, in the Emmanuel lifestyle. So share with us what that means, what it means to not only practice Emmanuel approach prayer, but what it means to live an Emmanuel lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a believer since sophomore year in college. That was 1988, and have been seeking out healing and connection and intimacy with Jesus ever since then. And like always trying to learn, signing up for a new conference, new workshop, get a new book. And I first started practicing Emmanuel prayer when I began taking the Life Model Works Connexus class, restarting with Betsy Stalcup from Healing Center International. And she would, the last half hour of any class we had, we would quiet, ask God for a memory that we could appreciate and feel joy and peace in, and then just start listening to Jesus. So that was back in 2015, and I just felt like I had this whole new relationship with Jesus, and I tell people this changed my life. It just changed how I look at my whole life and how I look at my future, and I just look for any way I can to just help people enjoy their present moment and appreciate moments from the past, and then invite and connect with Jesus in them.
Yeah, that's such a critical piece. We've had conversations with others in the life model and Emmanuel about how critical that connection piece with Jesus is. Everything else kind of flows out of that. It has to. And I think, the stuff that Jim Wilder's talking about with attachment with God and understanding that that's what it's about. And I know the Emmanuel approach may sound like it's just for like heart healing, but it's really meant to be a lifestyle. It's meant to be a continuum. It's meant to be learning how to live in the tangible connection with Jesus and to look for him in every circumstance. And so that's so vital. But Lisa, we'd love to just kind of, why don't you kind of lay a little bit of a foundation for who you are, what you do. I know you've got a book you've written, but we just want to lay a foundation for our listeners because we're still getting to know you. We want them to get to know you. So why don't you share with us some key things about what makes Lisa Lisa and your heart and what's led you to this point?
All right. Let me know if I get too long.
It's okay.
too many rabbit trails. So part of the big core is I just love to be creative and create new things. I did a design discovery once I became an empty nester. My 2 daughters left the house. I thought I gotta figure out who I am now in this next season. So my core identity statement is courageously maneuvering in light and shadow, bringing the wounded to the healer. And so I'm really getting in touch with, okay, I'm an apostle, I'm an entrepreneur, I've done a lot of different things, and trying to be okay with that. So I've always loved to move and create and dance and exercise. So I got my undergrad in exercise physiology at University of New Hampshire. I got a minor in dance. I would have loved to have had a major and a dance career, but didn't pursue that. and then worked in cardiac rehabilitation for a little while, but started doing volunteer ministry with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, because InterVarsity was the friends and fellowship I met there were the big part in me choosing to follow and have a relationship with Jesus. So I eventually worked for InterVarsity and for 6 years, and went to seminary for a Master of Art in Religion because I could create it myself. I could design my own integrative project. And then I raised 2 amazing daughters and focused on that. I taught dance part-time, but really looked for whatever I could do that would integrate, where they were learning and how I could be involved. So mostly homeschooled, but they went to school some of their time. I substitute taught in homeschool co-ops and wherever they were. I eventually ran my own dance school and taught classical ballet as a foundation, but helped all of us learn how to integrate worshiping God. And, I took children's stories that I loved and created story ballets out of them. Then as I was nearing becoming an empty nester, I decided to get a health coach certification because I really wanted to help people think about how to heal every part of their life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And recognize and appreciate so much that taking care of our physical bodies, the temple of the Holy Spirit, is just crucial to, being able to bring our best selves and our best energy into following the Lord and serving. So, and then I started doing online groups with Luke 10 community and sort of really honed in on running Zoom groups. And I'd had enough wounding in spiritual environments that I kind of became really focused on how do I create safe spiritual environments for people. Eventually reconnected with Amy Brown from Deeper Walk and started facilitating journey groups. And so by the time the pandemic hit, we were just in a groove. I had like seven groups a week, and we were all just able to go deeper. We were able to be together, but be still before God and quiet our bodies and tell appreciation stories and listen to Jesus. And so that's a lot of what I'm doing right now is facilitating online groups, both with Deeper Walk, and then I just taught 2 Facing Life's Losses classes through Healing Center International, because I realized it's this is such an important time for us to learn how to face and grieve losses from the past so that we can also grieve the losses that we're experiencing right now in the pandemic and receive whatever the Lord wants to give us in place of that grief and sadness.
Yeah, I think it's more overwhelming than people are even tapped into right now, the level of loss. Mm-hmm. Even not being able to attend normal celebrations and family milestones, and even grieving the loss of a loved one for whatever reason, they passed away. You can't even really celebrate their life together. I think there's a lot more damage being caused right now than I think we're aware of by just how this thing is playing out. And the need is so great. I keep thinking of a tidal wave of need that is coming, which is why we want to do our part to raise people up and equip them with tools to help people around them and to use themselves, because, the heart healers need their own healing. And, a lot of people go into heart healing because they've experienced it, because they've needed it. And so they come from a place of credibility, they have street cred because they've experienced that loss and they've walked that healing journey. And now they want to get equipped to help others. So it's very important. We do need to be paying attention to what's going on around us, because the need is so incredibly great. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you're able to step into a niche already in the online space and do that with the people that are already in your sphere of influence.
How are you seeing, as a certified health coach, it's interesting because I have a few friends that are actually pursuing that as well right now. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And so obviously I think people are recognizing the need to not only be healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually, but physically as well. And as a new coach yourself, how are you seeing, are people really glad that you're doing that? And then when you're presenting, hey, maybe, do you see it like, maybe this isn't just an emotional issue, but let's look at what you're eating, or let's look at your lifestyle. Are people more and more open to that? And how do you even, like, how are you integrating that, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being with your physical well-being?
That's a great question. Yeah, I decided that I'm so convinced about the healing that happens in groups that I actually set aside the one-on-one health coaching and just keep putting myself in a place where I'm teaching these online classes. And so I'll integrate it there. Like, I'll talk a lot and have us experience quieting our bodies, just continue to, try different practices and talk about, what helped the most in this breathing exercise or this. And so, and like when I get to, when we're trying to listen and ask God, well, what are you inviting me to next? Like, how do I take the next step forward in this topic that we're considering? Like, I'll bring the coaching questions in then of, well, what do you want to do, and what might get in the way, and how do I take a small, manageable action step forward? And like, one of the things that I'll say is when it feels really hard to like just get out of bed, like if there's not an appointment or something that we have to get out of bed for, I mean, this is what I do for myself. I say, okay, if I can just get up and do one hard thing, then my body will produce some dopamine and give me that boost of energy. I'll be like, oh, yay, I did it. Okay, I'm up. What's the next thing? So a common thing I'll suggest to people is get up and go get a drink of water, because, water is one of the most important things we can do, is make sure we have enough water each day. And we're ideally supposed to have like at least 20 ounces in the first part of the day. So try to, as Melinda takes a drink of water.
We affectionately call her the water Nazi. She's always about making people drink water, especially her folks who are in their 80s.
I agree with you what you're saying, because the very first thing I do when I get up is I actually have a 20-ounce bottle of water by my bed. And I've been doing that for years. It's the very first thing I do every 7 days a week. And, people might be like, oh, then I'm going to have to pee a lot. And it's actually not true, because you think about it, you haven't drunk any water for 8 or 9 or 10 hours. And so your body's like, oh, and so that water I feel like it's just going to all the organs that haven't had any for 9 hours. We're not, I know the podcast isn't revolving on water, but I am quite a water Nazi.
She is a water Nazi.
Like, have you drunk your water today?
No, but let's just talk about this for a second. This is a very practical, thing that anybody can do that has enormous benefit to their physical well-being. And we all know that our physical well-being is intricately connected to our emotional well-being. And we've had other interviews with different people. Craig Miller talked about it a lot, where we are body, soul, and spirit. And so many people think we can just kind of divide those things off from each other, but they're integrated. They're intimately integrated. And there's no way to divide them. And so looking at healing from a holistic approach and understanding the physical dynamics. I mean, we were talking just a moment before we pressed record about yawning and how that there is something to that physiologically that helps to quiet your body. Jim Wilder has the Shalom for your body. We've interviewed him, and he's got those resources out there in the Peace Kit on our website as well. Shalom for my body, and the yawning left to right. And there you go, yawning. See, it's important. I mean,
Suggestive. Yeah.
we have to understand that you cannot separate yourself, your internal emotional mind, will, emotions, all of that. You can't dissect that out of your physical body. So let's look at, hey, what can I do physically for my body to cooperate with what Jesus is doing emotionally, spiritually, whatever. And you have to drink water. We're mostly water. Our bodies are mostly water. And a lot of people miss that. They'd rather go to caffeine or alcohol or sugary drinks, any of that. And if you're not taking care of your body, and you're not getting good nutrition, you're not getting good hydration, eating a lot of sugar and all of that, I mean, you might want to think about how that's affecting your overall emotional and mental well-being. So good on you let's just be holistic, be the water Nazi. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I remember, I actually wrote about it in my book. There was one morning I woke up, and I'd spent the weekend, Easter weekend, with my daughters and my husband, and I just woke up and said, "Oh Lord, I don't want this day. I don't want to take my daughters to the airport and say goodbye and leave them. And my last interaction, I wish I hadn't gone that way." And I was just telling him, I felt sad. I was feeling lonely. I just wanted to give up. And I said, "Lord, I don't have time to sit and have this long encounter with you. What do I do? I need to get up now." And it was like, he clearly said, "Drink water." I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I can take care of myself in this simple, tangible way that I know is good for me. But now I know that was the Lord's solution for me. So it was amazing.
So it's not always some, like, I think we can hyper spiritualize things and well, just getting the Bible and start memorizing a verse right now. And of course, I'm not obviously saying that's not a good thing, but often God's just practical. Like, well, you need to get more sleep. Like, he's not just after you need to be doing these spiritual disciplines, but you need to go have some fun, go watch a comedy, go laugh with friends. And you did mention your book, Lisa. And so let's talk about that a little bit. You self-published a book called Real Talk with God, How to Get Your Head Out of the Ditch of Despair. And, that seems very applicable, especially right now. So tell us about your book.
Okay. Thanks for asking. So I went through a pretty despairing time, just trying to recover from just some, what I would call just really spiritually toxic situations. So the loss of belonging, kind of all happened the same time as my daughters were differentiating and getting ready to leave the house, graduate. And so I was learning Emmanuel approach, learning to ask the Lord to give me a memory that I could appreciate. And all this healing was happening. And I realized, I need to tell these stories, like, not only for me, but for other people, because they were just so down to earth. Like, and so I honestly, my goal was, I'm just going to write this out so I have it, and maybe I'll publish, print a few copies for my family members. And one of my friends had gone through a self-publishing course, so she recommended it. So I thought, okay, I'll take the course, I'll write it. And it was a transition. My husband and I sold our house of 17 years. We were 5 months in between houses. And I just thought, no, this is the time to do this. And so I just started looking through my journals and converting my healing stories, doing the Emmanuel approach, into a dialogue. I thought the easiest way to tell the story is make it like a script. So I would say what I said and then what God said in response. And so it was like a conversation. Then the more I thought about it, I thought, oh, okay, I really want this to not just be like a personal story that people who wanted would get examples. That was really important to me. But then I thought, I want someone who is just searching the internet, like looking for an answer. They might never get to a conference or any of that. Like, how can I just write one book that's kind of like, manual approach for dummies? How do I just get some examples and some how-tos? So then when I subtitled it, How to Get Your Head Out of the Ditch of Despair, I thought, okay, I do need to think about how would I explain this? How would I make this simple and easily accessible? And then I started anticipating what questions people might ask. So I had like a question and answer section, thinking about all the questions I asked. Like, I love Bible study and I love teaching other people to study the Bible. And I went to seminary so that I would know the Bible and be able to teach it. So how do I explain, how I interact with Jesus and we look at the Bible together? And, how do I explain what it means to listen to God in all these new creative ways? So that's what's in the book. And yeah, the more I worked on it, the more I thought, wow, I really want to share this. And I published the ebook version February of 2019. And honestly, it just felt too hard to figure out how to get it out in paperback. But as soon as I scheduled the interview with you all, that was just what lit the fire. So it's now available on paperback. So
yay! So how do people find it?
People are loving. A lot of their comments are about the authenticity of it, about saying, "Wow, I can really understand now God's love," being very practical. Because I actually hardly mentioned the word love in here. I mean, God tells me he loves me, but it's in all these really unique, creative, validating ways. So people are saying it's a tangible way of seeing how God loves us. And it gives them an example of how to have a conversation with God that's ongoing. So I think that's what I love hearing the most, is people saying, this has just opened up a whole new way of having a relationship with God.
So if I want to buy the book, where do I go to buy it?
Yeah, Amazon. Go to Amazon.
Okay.
Real Talk with God. And my next goal is to get it out on audio, because I feel like that's where, how I really experience God will come through. So that's my next plan.
That's great. Wow.
So you had mentioned in your bio about godly play. Can you, my curiosity is definitely piqued. Can you share with us what that is?
Yeah. Godly play is a way of storytelling, stories from the Bible, as well as just stories of church. And it's created by Jerome Behrman, who he learned from Maria Montessori, from Montessori method. He learned Montessori method, and he started writing stories and then creating hands-on materials like wooden figures or sometimes felt, just a whole vast creative array of ways of telling stories. And the idea is that, people come in and they prepare themselves, they quiet themselves, they decide they're ready, they come in and everyone sits in a circle, and the objects of the story are in the center of the circle. And so everybody's focus is on the story in the circle. And so if I'm the storyteller, I'm telling the story and I've memorized it, so I'm telling it from my heart, but all the focus is on the story. And then at the end of the story, we just leave space and ask questions, curiosity questions that keep us curious and keep that part of our brain open. Because I tell people all the time, you can't stay curious and judgmental at the same time. So their kind of logo is I wonder. So we just ask wonder questions. I wonder what part of this story is your favorite. I wonder what seems most important. I wonder where you see yourself in this story. I wonder where we are, whoever's in the circle, where are we in this story? I wonder what part of this story is most about us. So,
Mm.
it had always been, I had worked with children in all different settings, but it had always been a dream to do that. So I was able to go for training twice, and I actually worked at a church last year and was able to do godly play with the children until the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
I just add one of the other things that happened with that was Dr. Behrman also created this. He wrote this book called Stories of God at Home. And he talks about how telling stories at home and having families tell the stories of each other at home is so important. And so part of their response to the pandemic was to, start promoting that even more. So they developed a series on looking at the 7 days of creation, but incorporating storytelling about the families. So the families that I was working with at church, we couldn't meet in person. They were Zoomed out. So I thought, well, I'm going to create a video series so people can watch the video and I can give them a little bit of tips about how to create belonging with people of all ages. And then I'll say okay, stop and answer this question. Okay, on the day of when God gave the gift of light, well, what's the time when you enjoyed light? And is there a parent or grandparent that can say to each child, when I remembered enjoying light with you in this very specific way? So I eventually put it on YouTube. So it's very homemade, just my own little YouTube channel. But there are ideas on there, and I like to tell stories and give people tools for telling stories.
That's cool. That's very creative, very unique. Well, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, and if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to, but I'm just wondering in how you have led so many people in connection with Jesus. And I mean, we do that too in group manuals and everything, but it'd be great to hear from somebody else, or maybe you could just give us some tips before we go of, maybe someone's listening and they're like, yeah, I'm in despair, or I'm beyond what she can help me with, or what God can help me with, or I have someone in my life that's in despair. How can I help them? So is there something just practical, maybe that either you can lead our listeners through, or what can they take away today to do something to help them on the road out of that pit of despair?
All right. So how much time do I have?
Go for it.
Yeah.
How much time do you need?
I mean, do you want me to actually kind of do a little mini? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just think about our bodies and make sure that we're feeling comfortable and just that everything's feeling as supported and relaxed as possible. So do we feel our feet on the floor? Do we feel even on both sides? I'm just going to walk up our body. Our ankles even on both sides, knees, hips. And sometimes we just can feel like we're carrying so many burdens, and sometimes it manifests as feeling like pain in our backs. So we could just think about our low backs and take a couple deep breaths and just say, oh, are there any burdens that are just too much for me? I'm carrying, it's just too heavy a load, and we want to give it to God. So we could think about that as we take a deep breath in and blow out through our mouth and just let go of those burdens. Jesus, thank you that you say your yoke is easy and your burden is light. So we'd like to give you some of these burdens. Let's take another breath in. Exhale and give it to the Lord. And let's keep walking up, our ribs feeling even, the backs of our shoulders feeling supported by our chair. Going up to our top of our shoulders. And we can carry so much tension in our necks, but We can combine fear with like these anxious thoughts about the future, and all of a sudden our necks are sore. So just shrug our shoulders, maybe give ourselves a neck massage. One time I went to physical therapy because I had so much neck tension, and she said, "Lisa, you're not breathing. Your neck pain is just because you're not breathing. So let's take some more deep breaths." And if there's any thoughts that we just keep thinking over and over and feeling anxious about, maybe we can just say, "God, would you deal with this for me right now?" And we'll keep moving up, feeling our ears even, our eyes even on both sides, and up to the top of our head. Lord, maybe we are just feeling like we are at the end of our ropes. We don't have any more resources. Don't know how to keep going. Would you remind us of a time where we were amazing, where we had new resources, where we overcame hardship? Would you remind us of a time like that? Help us to jump back in and live out that time. Let's just think about what comes to our minds. We're trying to hone in on one experience. Let's pay attention to what we're seeing, what we're hearing. It could be sounds of nature, it could be other people talking or music. What are we smelling? Maybe it's just fresh air, or even water has a smell. Maybe we're eating something or just feeling something in our mouths, like toothpaste or water. What are we feeling in the outside of our skin? And then we can go inside. It's helpful to get closer to our core. So what are we feeling inside our bodies? What's our body temperature? How are we breathing? What's our heart rate? Is it fast or slow? As we just become aware of all of this, it helps our brains open up and become in this place where we can see things in a new way, have a new thought. This is the best time to have a thought from the Lord. So in this memory that we're thinking about, let's try to hone in on what our favorite part is. What do we love most about this experience? And it can help to just say it out loud. Oh, I love that I got up off the ground and I kept running, even after I fell. And this can feel vulnerable, but it's such a beautiful space to just say, "Okay, God, I open my heart up even more. Would you show me what you love most about this? How do you see me overcoming? How do you see me being resourceful? What do you love about me and being with me?" Maybe we can ask God, is there something that you want to give me? And just be curious about what's coming into our awareness. We don't have to analyze it or decide if it's right or wrong, if it's God or not. And maybe we just want to free our hands up because God has more to give us, but they're full. So we could say, what do I want to give to you, God? Maybe it's my shame or the limiting story I keep telling myself. And I just like to say, God, thank you. Thanks for giving me this moment. Thanks for showing me something new. Thanks that you're going to walk through me on every next step. So I'll trust you. I'll keep going with you, Lord. Amen. So something like that.
Wow. Well, if anyone's asleep, that's actually a good place to sleep. When I sometimes lead those Emmanuel sessions, I think if you fall asleep during this, then A, you needed it, and B, what better time and place to fall asleep except thinking about appreciation and Jesus's presence. And that was really beautiful, Lisa. And, Kathy and I sat here. Well, at least I can't speak for Kathy. I looked at her and she had her eyes closed. So I'm assuming she was doing it, but we both were.
We were both.
Yeah. Were you
Thank
doing
you.
No, because I don't know, but I really appreciate being led through that because we're doing that so much, and in fact, we're going to be teaching an basic Emmanuel this weekend and then next weekend in advanced. And leading all the groups. And you understand this, Lisa, we need a time to receive for ourselves. And so for me, I thank you just personally I know I didn't ask you for my benefit, but I certainly just benefited from it. And so thank you I don't know about anybody else, but I know you guys did benefit from it too, those of you listening. And you can go back and listen to this anytime as well. And that's the beauty of a podcast is that this isn't a live thing. Like I missed it. And I would encourage you, look at it in the time code or whenever that was, just take 10 minutes. I think that's about all it was. It doesn't take that long in your day. And that's the wonderful thing is like, I don't have time to do a 2-hour session or an hour or whatever. And it doesn't actually, and that's okay that you don't, but take 10 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever, and go through that. So thank you, Lisa, you didn't know I was going to ask you to do that. And so I appreciate you letting me put you on the spot and lead us through that really beautiful healing exercise. And especially, the breathing thing, you were saying that you went to get PT and she said that you're not breathing. And I have really been being totally vulnerable here the last several weeks. I have realized that I'm taking very shallow breaths and, I'm realizing, oh my, am I breathing at all? I mean, really? And so I'm practicing that. And I find that when I feel overwhelmed or when there's so much on the list to do, and I know I'm not the only one who feels like this, that we're breathing, yes, but we're not breathing as deeply as we can be to get the oxygen to our cells and to our brain. And that leads to all sorts of things, tiredness and low energy and lack of joy, all of those things so tied to our breath. And so I'm reminding myself throughout the day just okay, am I breathing? How is my breath?
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding us of that really key, important thing, simple thing. Putting these things into practice it's not just important. It's imperative, I think. And so thank you so much for giving us a pause and something that we all can come back to, something practical. And it's really, Lisa, it's been a joy. And thank you so much for reaching out to us because we benefit, and when we don't know, like we don't know who at this point, we used to get a lot of suggestions from people. It's like, no, it's not the right thing. And so
it wasn't the right time.
It's not the right time.
The specific thing last season.
But so I love that people are reaching out saying, hey, I might have something that, might be of help to your interest, to your audience. And so it's really been a joy and an honor, Lisa. And for those of you who can't see her, she's been smiling pretty much the whole time. So you get joy just by being with her. And we know it's not the same as being in person and getting that eye contact, but I'm feeling it, just looking at your face. So Lisa, thank you for being a joy. I call people like you a joy bomb, because when you're with them, you just feel that joy that legitimately happens when someone's happy to be with you. That's the whole crux of what joy is. So thank you for bringing that. And I'm sure that translated, because you can hear joy in people's smile too when you're just listening. So
I hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you both. Love being with you.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I certainly experienced some connection. I obviously I said that when we were doing that live, but I needed that. So did you guys need that?
Yeah. Did you guys need that? If you didn't, you're probably not alive. I don't know. And I knew you would really appreciate, Melinda, the emphasis on drinking water, because seriously, y'all,
that was not planned.
She really is a water Nazi, but it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So, but we hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope that it benefited you. And hey, we have not had any reviews for a while on Apple Podcast. And we haven't had many 5-star ratings come in. So y'all help us out. That's really important. That the Apple has a way of paying attention to what is getting 5-star reviews and what are getting the written reviews. And it really does help make the podcast more visible to other people who are searching. So we would love to invite you to leave a 5-star rating, and because anything less than that, I just can't imagine. But hopefully, 5-star rating and leave a review at Apple Podcast. And there's actually instructions on how to do that on our website under the Media Podcast tab. So definitely would love your help with that. So help us get the word out. Share. Yeah. More content coming. We just are continuing to connect with people, and they are connecting with us, and we're just really pursuing Jesus together and having these great conversations. And we're really excited to introduce you to all of these amazing people. So thanks for subscribing and rating, reviewing, and all of that stuff.
And again, be on the lookout for our premium membership. We're launching in just a couple weeks. And right now, if you're listening, it is October 12th, 2020. So in a couple weeks from now, and we get to grow together, and we really would love for you to be a part of it. Thank you, though, for listening. Thank you again. We appreciate you, and we just love hearing from you. And we pray and hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week experiencing the presence of Emmanuel,
and
God with us.
See you next week.
See you next time. Thank you for listening to the Face to Face Ministries podcast. And to be sure not to miss any future episodes, please subscribe.
And to help us get the word out, please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a 5-star rating and leave us a brief review. More content is coming your way.
Thank you so much for listening.